Orphan boy had a miserable life. Out of nowhere, he became a god candidate with overwhelming powers. On the day of his middle school graduation, Mirai is standing atop a skyscraper with a heavy heart. He says he wanted to be happy, but the darkness inside him has taken all the light away. Suddenly, he decides he misses the ground and decides to hug it. But he's caught by an angel. She introduces herself as Nas and explains that her mission is to make him happy. But Mirai has already lost all hope, crushed under the weight of his parents' and younger brother's deaths in a car accident, and the abuse he suffered from his aunt and uncle. Nas gave him a glimmer of hope, but Mirai was still unsure if he could ever truly find happiness again. Nas then told him to choose one of the two: angel wings, where he can finally become free, or angel arrows, which can be used to make anyone he wants to fall in love with him. But he was determined to have both. To his surprise, Nas agreed immediately, throwing magical rings onto Mirai's arms and neck. These special rings were invisible to most humans, and only those who got blessed by another angel can see them. Mirai was given the chance to practice his flying skills and found it to be an incredibly enjoyable experience. So much so that he was brought to tears of joy. But then the angel suggested something that surprised him, using the wings and arrows to escape dangerous situations and manipulate people to his advantage. Mirai couldn't believe it, thinking the angel was more like a demon than an angel. The angel disagreed, stating that true demons were within the hearts of humans, the same kind of demons that resided in Mirai's aunt and uncle. Mirai's disbelief fades away as the angel reveals the dark truth. His aunt and uncle are the ones who planned to murder his parents and brother, and had plotted to make it look like an accident to avoid being charged. Mirai's world is rocked, but Nas suggests he use the arrows to confront his aunt and uncle. Mirai quickly reaches his house and, with steely determination, shoots his aunt with the red arrow. Suddenly, his aunt falls madly in love with him and answers all his questions truthfully. She finally admits that she and her husband killed Mirai's family because they were wealthy. Just then, Mirai's uncle arrives and a fight ensues between husband and wife. As the two battle it out, Mirai is overwhelmed with powerful memories of his family's death. Mirai falls to the ground and declares that his aunt and uncle should have been the ones to meet their demise. At these words, Mirai's aunt is overcome with grief and pierces her neck in an act of atonement. Mirai sat in a pool of blood, his mind wandering back to the memories of his childhood. He remembers the day he proudly showed his family drawing to his mother. She smiled at him with such tenderness, whispering that everyone has the right to search for their own happiness, and that Mirai should go find his too. 3 days later, Mirai finds himself in a hotel room. Nas is worried that Mirai hasn't used his wings or arrows since shooting a hotel manager to get a room for free. She says that Mirai's uncle thinks that his aunt took her own life out of regret, and Mirai should deal with him too. But Mirai wants to only find ordinary happiness. He won't settle for anything that involves stealing or manipulating someone. Mirai was surprised when Nas told him he could kill for money. He didn't want to see any blood and was not sure if he could do it. But Nas had something special to show him, the white arrow. This magical arrow could delete the target without any bloodshed. Nas then revealed to Mirai that he was a god candidate. Apparently, God was getting weaker, so he gathered 13 angels together for a special mission. He said that he had done his best to make the world better for humans, but it was time for him to hand over his throne. The angels were asked to each choose a human to guide through an epic battle royale to decide who would become the new god. Mirai was pondering the existence of god candidates and wasn't sure if he wanted to become one. Nas explained that becoming a god candidate would give him free access to wings and arrows and would lead to greater happiness. Mirai thought about it and decided he didn't have any intention of becoming a god. But then he agreed to use his powers as a god candidate to turn his uncle over to the police. Mirai turned on the TV and was shocked to see an angel on the screen. Nas immediately realized that the angel's presence must mean that Tanma, the man being interviewed, was a god candidate. Tanma was asked questions about his romantic involvement with multiple girls, and Mirai immediately realized they were being controlled by Tanma's red arrow, just like his aunt. Nas questions Mirai if there was any way to defend himself from a red arrow. She explains that he can use his wings to dodge the arrows, as he can fly faster than the arrows. She further tells him about the red arrows. The effect lasts for 33 days, and it can only be used once per person. As Mirai walked away from school the next day, he was mildly surprised to see the news about Tanma's death. Nas was shocked and silently wondered if it was murder. The two decided to take a break and go shopping for school. But their plans quickly changed when they stumbled onto the scene of a bank robbery. Suddenly, a mechanical figure descended from the sky. Mirai looked up and saw a man in a mechanical suit, with wings like an angel, and realized he must be another god candidate. The figure, calling himself Metropolitan, began to fly around and shoot the police officers with red arrows, convincing them that he was a hero of justice. He then shot the criminals with a red arrow, demanding they turn themselves in. But his plan was stopped as another criminal fired a shot at him. However, Metropoliman was too quick and shot back with a white arrow, killing him. Metropoliman gets interviewed and reveals that he has two goals: to bring peace to the world and to find and eliminate the last 11 god candidates. Mirai, scared of the prospect of Metropoliman's plan, desperately demands that Nas remove his arrows and wings so he isn't a god candidate anymore. But Nas rejects it, revealing that removing it will kill him. Nas explains that angels have a special ranking system. Humans with the special ranked angels get both red and white arrows, as well as wings. The ones with high rank will get red arrows and wings, and the ones with low ranked angels only have red arrows or wings. However, the ranks can change, as the angels can be promoted or demoted at any time. Mirai was feeling a bit anxious on the day he had to go to school, but he had made up his mind that being cooped up at home would not bring him the happiness he was seeking. Mirai arrived at his school and was taken aback by what he saw: an angel hovering above the courtyard. Taking a deep breath, he tried to blend in with the other students, but was suddenly taken aback when the angel moved right in front of him and gazed into his eyes. The angel knew that Mirai's reaction meant he was a potential god candidate. He informed Mirai that his candidate was attending the same school and was standing right behind him. Mirai turned around to see his childhood friend and crush, Saki, standing behind him. Before Mirai could even react, Saki shot a red arrow directly at him. He thought the arrow couldn't affect him because he already loved Saki. However, the love arrow overpowers his feelings and made him confess his love for her. Saki then asked Mirai to fly to her house with his wings and wait for her while she attended their high school's opening ceremony. Mirai waited patiently for Saki's return, and when she finally did, Revel, her low-ranked angel, was shocked to discover that Saki has a special rank angel. Revel then thinks about using Mirai's powers to protect Saki, who only has a red arrow. Saki receives a notification on her phone mentioning Metropoliman is making an address on TV again. Revel tried to manipulate Mirai into attacking Metropoliman by suggesting he could be a danger to Saki, but Nas intervened and stopped Revel. Revel then tried to work out a way to manipulate Nas, but Nas was one step ahead and revealed that if Mirai succeeds in killing Metropoliman, Saki would get his wings. Saki and Mirai decide to team up, and they start living together. Elsewhere, Metropoliman stopped a police chase with his red arrow and forced the criminal to turn himself in. Arriving back home, he was angry that none of the other god candidates had even tried to challenge him. His angel told him that the other candidates were afraid of being killed by Metropoliman, and gives him the plan to draw them out. 33 days after being shot by Saki's arrow, Mirai was finally free from its effects. Revel noticed that Mirai still had feelings for her. Mirai was thankful that he got the chance to tell Saki how he felt. He was relieved to be able to spend time with her, and together they decided to put an end to Metropoliman and find happiness. But just then, notifications about Metropoliman started to appear. Mirai and Saki, along with their angels, were watching the TV broadcast when suddenly Metropoliman announced that he wanted to invite the remaining 11 god candidates to discuss a truce with him. He said they could hide among the crowd of spectators if they wanted to remain anonymous. 2 days later, they arrived at the stadium and were ready to meet Metropoliman. Mirai glanced up at the sky and spotted 3 angels hovering above the stadium. Saki warned him not to stare, but Mirai assured her he was only watching the helicopters circling the space, not the angels. Suddenly, Metropoliman appeared in the middle of the stadium. Then, 2 mysterious figures, dressed like superheroes with wings and red arrows, unexpectedly sprang from the crowd. Blue tried to shoot Metropoliman with his red arrow, but nothing happened. Blue takes the microphone and demands that the real Metropoliman show himself. Everyone holds their breath, wondering what will happen next. Suddenly, Metropoliman appears on the stadium's Jumbotron. He confesses that the figure in the stadium is a fake and has been shot with his red arrow. The 2 wannabe heroes decide to take the decoy with them so they can interrogate him. But they stop by the surprise appearance of Chio, a young god candidate. The young girl pleaded with them to take her away. Before they could move, Metropoliman suddenly appeared behind her and shot her with his red arrow. In a blink of an eye, he had vanished with her. The group was shocked as they watched Metropoliman appear on the Jumbotron with the young girl. He was not happy. He warned them that they had to leave, or else he would kill them all. Blue and Yellow were desperate. Blue turned to the audience and asked if any other god candidates would join them. Suddenly, two mysterious figures emerged from the crowd and offered to go with them. "I swear these guys want to be Power Rangers." Blue aimed and shot his arrow, piercing the two newcomers. Yellow kept watch, and the four of them returned to the center of the stadium. The crowd gasped in shock as the mysterious Metropoliman reappeared on the Jumbotron, declaring that he was not the real Metropoliman. Suddenly, the Metropoliman in the middle of the stadium began shooting arrows from his hands. He used a white arrow to kill Blue and a red arrow to shoot at Yellow. Metropoliman switched places with his decoy while Yellow and Blue were busy shooting Pink and Green, whom he had paid to go along with his plan. Horrified, Mirai and Saki watched Metropoliman's plan unfold. Yellow declared his allegiance to Metropoliman, and Metropoliman invited Chiyo back to the stadium, signaling the start of the second stage of his plan. Metropoliman revealed a pair of cuffs and ordered Yellow to fasten them around his wrists and chain himself to Chiyo. With the two of them secured to the railing, Metropoliman fired the white arrow, and Yellow was done for. Hidden in the crowd, Mirai was filled with anxiety. He was faced with a difficult decision. Should he take aim with his red arrow and attack Metropoliman, or just wait and see? Suddenly, a mysterious hooded figure snapped a photo of Mirai and Saki standing together. It was then that Chiyo's angel begged Metropoliman to stop. But to the angel's dismay, Metropoliman refused and commanded her to plead for help. Jami, without hesitation, obeyed and with Chiyo, yelled for other god candidates to come to their aid. Mirai tried to intervene but was quickly stopped by Nas, who hovered above Metropoliman. Nas made it clear that after killing so many people, he couldn't use Chiyo to find other candidates. Without a moment's hesitation, Metropoliman used a white arrow to kill her, reminding everyone of his mission to eliminate all of the candidates in the competition to become god. But Nas says that she and her partner doesn't care about becoming god. All she wants is for her partner to finally become happy. She gave a warning to Metropoliman. If he stood in the way of her partner's happiness, she would convince him to end his life. Before she took off, she gave Mirai and Saki a subtle hint to go with the rest of the crowd and stay out of sight. Chiyo's and Yellow's angels swooped down from the sky, collecting the bodies of their fallen partners. Metropoliman was then gifted with their wings and arrows, and with a powerful leap, he flew away from the stadium. Mirai and Saki made it back home, but Mirai was still feeling sad. He asked Saki if she hated Metropoliman, and she replied that she couldn't forgive him for killing Chiyo. This realization spurred Mirai to conclude that they must take Metropoliman down, but he was hesitant about this decision. He thought back to a childhood memory with his family, where his father had discussed the true meaning of happiness. Saki had an idea to form allies with other god candidates to gain control and power over Metropoliman. Suddenly, a man claiming to be a god candidate emerged from the balcony, asking them to shoot him with a red arrow. The man told them to shoot him with an arrow to prove he wasn't being controlled by Metropoliman. Revel instructed Saki to shoot him, but Nas stopped her, saying that the man wasn't lying. The group welcomed the man into the room. He confessed that he was terminally ill, with no hope of recovery. He had been given 3 months to live, and an angel appeared and he became a god candidate. Mukado introduced himself to Mirai and Saki with a mission to stop Metropoliman from becoming god. He had used all of his red arrows to control 14 detectives and psychologists, and through these detectives, he found out that Mirai and Saki could see the angels and arrows. That's why Mukado decided to ally with them. Mukado asked Mirai and Saki if they wanted to become gods, but they declined. But then Mukado reported he'd found another god candidate, and he showed them a photo of a young boy. He proposed that they team up and work together to find the boy. Mukado, with the help of Nas, began drawing a detailed map of all the 13 angels, their mysterious abilities, and the god candidates chosen by them. Though Metropoliman and 5 other god candidates remain unknown. Suddenly, the news alert blared on the television. Girl A, an escaped convict who had been sentenced to prison for a series of gruesome murders 2 years ago, was on the loose. As Mukado watched Girl A's criminal declaration, he knew that Metropoliman was controlling her. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.